I'm Bertha, sitting at my new desk by the window. I'm looking out at the city lights of Boston. It's been months since that fateful night, but the memories still feel as fresh as if they happened yesterday. That night changed everything for me, turning the darkest moment of my life into the beginning of a new chapter. It all started when I was sitting across from my now ex-husband, Derek, in a private dining room of an upscale restaurant in Boston's Seaport District. I was pretending to be Mr. Thompson's granddaughter, Lily, a role I never thought I'd have to play. As I entered the room, Derek's eyes widened in shock. He couldn't believe his eyes. I looked nothing like the soaked, shivering woman he'd left on the side of Route 6 just hours ago. Derek had always been a charming man at first. We met at a local event, and I was immediately drawn to his charisma. He came from an upper-class family in Cape Cod. His father, Mr. Blake, was a successful businessman, and his mother, Mrs. Blake, was a socialite. They were a family that placed a high value on status, appearance, and tradition. My own family, on the other hand, was middle class. My parents were hard, working people who taught me the values of kindness, honesty, and hard work. Over the 3 years of our marriage, I noticed a change in Derek. Small things, like an awkward comment from his mother or a sideways look, would set him off. He would lash out at me, blaming me for embarrassing him in front of his family. That fateful evening, we had visited his parents' house in Cape Cod. A storm had been brewing since late afternoon, rolling in from the Atlantic. As we merged onto Route 6, the sky was a low, churning gray, and the rain started to pour down. Derek was silent, his jaw locked, and his shoulders stiff. He hadn't said a word since we left the driveway. I tried to break the tension. "Derek, can we just talk about what happened?" "I didn't mean to," I said softly. He snapped at me. "You never mean to, Bertha. That's your problem. You always manage to embarrass me." His words felt like a punch in the gut. I tried to explain that I was just trying to help his dad, but he cut me off, saying that his dad didn't need my help and that I should just sit there and not sound like I came from a middle-class background. Outside, the rain became a relentless torrent. The wipers could barely keep up, and visibility was almost zero. I whispered, "I'm sorry," not really knowing what I was apologizing for. He scoffed and said, "You're sorry. You humiliated me. Every time we go there, it's the same thing. You can't hold a conversation, you can't dress appropriately, and you can't even sit properly at a table." I had endured 3 years of this. 3 years of shrinking myself, apologizing for every little thing. I watched as the charming man I once loved turned into someone who seemed to feed off my fear. I tried to tell him that it wasn't that serious, but he let out a sharp laugh and said, "You corrected my father about a contractor detail. You think you know more than my family?" Suddenly, he jerked the wheel and pulled onto the shoulder. The car lurched to a stop, and he said, "Get out. You ruined the night. I'm not driving another mile with you." I was in shock. I couldn't believe he was doing this to me. When I didn't move fast enough, he leaned across me, yanked the door handle, and shoved the door open. The freezing air and the violent sound of the storm rushed in. I stepped out, knowing that resisting would only make things worse. The door slammed behind me, and the red tail lights disappeared into the rain. I was alone, in the middle of a storm, on the side of the road. The cold sliced through my soaked clothes, and my hair was plastered to my face. I wrapped my arms around myself and started walking along the shoulder. My hands shook uncontrollably. At first I thought it was fear, but then I realized it was the cold. A creeping numbness spread across my fingers, and I could barely feel them. I tried to wave down passing cars, but they all blew past me. I felt so alone and abandoned. Just as I was about to collapse, a large black SUV pulled up beside me. The passenger window rolled down, and an elderly gentleman, Mr. Thompson, asked, "Miss, are you all right?" I was hesitant at first, but his calm and gentle voice reassured me. He told me to get in, saying that I was freezing and shouldn't be out there another minute. Once I was inside, he wrapped a thick wool blanket around me. He introduced himself and said that he lived in Boston and had spotted me from the highway. He asked me what I was doing out there, and I told him about my argument with Derek and how he had left me. His eyes darkened with disapproval. He said that no one deserved to be treated like that. Halfway to Boston, his phone rang. It was his business associate, Mr. Harris, asking if he was close to the restaurant. Mr. Thompson explained that his granddaughter, Lily, was sick and couldn't make it. He then turned to me and asked if I would accompany him to the dinner. He said it was an important long-term partnership he had been building for nearly a year, and having a family member there would signal stability. I was hesitant. I didn't think I could do it, but he assured me that it would be safe, and I wouldn't have to speak unless I wanted to. He also promised to help me find a safe place to stay and connect me with a lawyer. I finally agreed, and he said, "Thank you, Bertha. I won't let anything happen to you tonight." When we arrived at the restaurant, Mr. Thompson helped me change into a simple but elegant dress that his granddaughter had planned to wear. He walked me through the basics, telling me to introduce myself as Lily, studying environmental science at a local university, and to be polite and mostly quiet. As we entered the private dining room, I saw Derek sitting at the far end of the table, in the middle of a conversation with two investors, Mr. Harris and Mr. Miller. When he saw me, his face turned pale, and he looked like he had seen a ghost. During the dinner, Derek tried to insert himself into the conversation, talking about his strong values of integrity, family, and respect. It was all a lie. Just hours ago, he had left me to freeze on the side of the road. I kept my composure, smiling politely and listening to the conversation. When Mr. Harris casually asked Derek where his wife was, Derek quickly replied that she was home resting. Mr. Thompson then told the story of how he had found a woman walking alone on Route 6 in the storm, and that woman was me. Derek tried to make excuses, saying that I exaggerated things and that I was unstable, but Mr. Thompson cut him off, saying that he had picked me up himself and that I could have died. Mr. Harris and Mr. Miller were appalled. They decided not to do business with Derek because they couldn't trust someone who would abandon his wife in a storm. Derek was furious. He turned on me and said, "This is your fault. You humiliated me. You destroyed everything." But Mr. Thompson stood between us, telling Derek to sit down and that he was responsible for what happened. After the investors left, Mr. Thompson took me to one of his properties in Back Bay. It was a warm and cozy apartment. He provided me with fresh clothes, toiletries, and groceries. He also gave me a list of attorneys who could help me with my situation. In the following weeks, Mr. Thompson offered me a temporary position at Thompson Construction Group. The staff was warm and supportive. His granddaughter, Lily, became my friend. She took me shopping, invited me for coffee, and insisted I join their family dinners. I also started therapy with a trauma specialist recommended by Mr. Thompson. It was hard at first, but slowly I was able to process what I had been through. I finally called my mother, and she was overjoyed to hear from me. The divorce was finalized quickly and uncontested. Derek's reputation was in ruins, and he didn't fight it. With Mr. Thompson's help and my own determination, I moved into a small apartment in Cambridge. I bought my first set of dishes, plants, and bedding. I set my own routines and started to feel like myself again. Now, as I sit here writing this letter to Mr. Thompson, I realize how much my life has changed. That night on Route 6 was supposed to be the end of my story, but thanks to him, it became the beginning of a new one. I'm safe, I'm free, and I'm finally myself again.